to talk about HSL. So what I'm going to try and do in these live streams is give a little bit of, foundational teaching at the beginning, kind of like what we did last week with the smart objects, before we learn something new. And then we're going to look at some cool tips and tricks and kind of jump into some of those things. So the first thing we want to look at is HSL. And right now I'm in Camera Raw. You can open, JPEGs, you can open TIFFs, you can open RAW files and PNGs into Camera Raw. So it's not just for RAW files. And obviously you can find this in Photoshop going through, filter, Camera Raw filter, if you're in Photoshop CC or 2020. If you're in an earlier version of Photoshop, such as CS6 or earlier, just go to Bridge, right-click in Bridge, and say Open in Camera Raw. And you can go into Camera Raw. Now, there's a lot of cool adjustment tools inside of Photoshop. The adjustments have been there since Noah put them in there when he put Photoshop onto the Ark. They've been around forever. But then adjustment layers came along, which modernized them a little bit, and those are super cool and useful. But the best adjustments for adjusting your photos are inside of Camera Raw. They're modern, and they're modal, meaning that we can just use them on screen, and we don't have to open those modal boxes. So if we look in here, we're going to see one of them is HSL adjustments. HSL stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. And you can see there's three panels here: hue, saturation, luminance. If you don't know what luminance means, just lightness. Substitute it for lightness. So hue is the actual color. What color are we working with? Is that color green? Is it orange? Is it red? Is it purple? Those are the colors. The saturation is how much of these color is there. So, is it red? Is it really bright red? Or is it kind of a pale red? That's how we would adjust the saturation. Luminance, of course, is how light or how dark is the tones under those colors. So the colors are a way to target these tones or map them, and we can find them in the luminance slider. Now, in order to get images or colors to pop, we can use HSL. We can adjust how we want to mix them, blend those colors. We can also change those colors. So let's have a look. Why don't we start with hue? So here we can see, this was actually at San Diego Comic-Con, and these are the Tetris girls. That's their names. Their parents actually named them. They're the Tetris family. And I guess their first names are green, orange, red, and purple. Don't name your children orange. Well, maybe it'll be a trend. But anyway, so we've got the different colors here. And if I look, for example, under the greens and the aquas here, those are the colors. So if we look here, we know we've got green here in the hedge. We've got green in her hair and green in her outfit. So if I go and I choose the hue and I slide the hue, notice we can move those greens towards yellows, or we can, punch them up to a more of a St. Patrick's Day kind of a green. But this is also going to live in the yellows and possibly a little bit in the aquas as well. Okay, so we can change these colors. Or let's look at the reds, for example. We go into the reds. See, we can change that to a pink, or we can push it more into an orange, and now it's going to match the orange girl. So now we've got two oranges. So you can see how we can target those specific colors. Now, if we go under the purples, probably the magentas here, we can get our last girl. We can do a little bit in the magentas and maybe a little in the purples there. We could shift her to blue. So you can easily shift these colors just playing around inside the hue. Now, the saturation enables us to control how much of that color is in there. And this can be useful, for times like maybe it feels like it's a little bit green, you want to make it more yellow. We could suck the saturation out of the greens. And we could suck the saturation out of the yellows. And notice what's happening. Notice that hedge now is black and white, but it's maintaining color everywhere else. So these are the kind of things we could do this. We could target the purples as well. We could target the blues. In fact, why don't we do the aquas? And notice what's happening now is we're pulling the color out of a lot of things except for their skin tones now. And obviously the ones that are in red. Now you could shift those reds. If we went under hue and we go to the reds, we could start to shift some of these into different regions. You want to be a little careful with shifting those though, because you're going to shift the skin tones. Then the other thing is we could go into the luminance. So say, you know, these are not green anymore, are they? But they're still going to be affected by that luminance because it's those tones that are living underneath there. So, you know, we could go here, we could lighten up these hedges if we wanted. See that? And you can see, you know, before and after how we're able to go in and target these different tones by using hue, saturation, and luminance. Now these have a lot of things we can do. We can do effects in here. You know, we could change, as you can see, the color. If you just wanted to change the color of one thing, you could do that. We can desaturate things. There's a lot of different things that we can do. Let me just check questions if you guys have anything. I'm sorry about the out of focus. Can't really do much about that, except maybe save up some money and buy a switcher and use a better camera. Maybe that's what I'm going to have to do. Okay, let's see if we've got any questions about this. Mad Dog is a newbie. Welcome. Newbies are welcome. And you love the channel, Donna. Thank you. What else we got here? Brand new to Photoshop, trouble reading my notes later. Any suggestions for written instructions? Yes. If you go to photoshopcafe.com, most of my tutorials I do on YouTube. You'll see that tutorial will also be on photoshopcafe.com with the written instructions. So I'm going to say 90% of our tutorials have those written instructions. So you see one there on the YouTube channel you like, check it out, Photoshop Cafe. And I should try and remember to put a link in there too for the written instructions. I'll try and do that. All right. What do we got here? Would like to see a tutorial on actions beyond the basics. I just did a whole course on that, Norman. On actions. It's like a 3-hour course on actions and automation in Photoshop. But I'll look at maybe something that we can do here on the channel as well. You love Camera Raw, Lightroom. Any written notes? Okay, reloaded. And you are now sharp and clear. Okay, so guys, if you reload me in YouTube, maybe I'm going to sharpen up. That's a good suggestion. All right, so now that we've kind of done that, let me just cancel out of here. Well, actually, why don't we reset this? And if you want to reset, by the way, see the cancel button down here? Hold down Alt or Option and click, and that will reset. Now, if we want to open this image inside of Photoshop, we can. And also, when we're here inside of Photoshop, if you go down here, you're going to see that we have different options here. You know, so here's our adjustments I was talking about. And let's go into our hue saturation here. Now we've got the channel mixer, we've got color mixer, we've got selective color. So let me just show you, let's go to selective color first. So a similar thing to HSL that we can have inside of Photoshop is selective color, and we just created that as an adjustment layer. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go down and you're going to choose the color you want to work with. So this time we're going to choose the greens. And here we are in the greens. And then we can go ahead and then we can do things. If you want to change the luminance, it's just the blacks. See that? We can brighten it up, darken it, give it a little more punch, which I'll do a lot. That can work really well. And of course, we can also change the colors in here. We actually get a little bit more control because we can go into each individual color and we can start to change the colors there. So if you want to do a kind of similar thing there, we can. Let me just reset that. But another thing that's really useful, let me ditch that. If we wanted to change the color something here instantly, why don't we choose our hue saturation? And so now we've got a hue saturation adjustment. Now there's a little indicator here because sometimes it's hard to tell, you know, is this green? Is this, you know, how much is in greens? How much is in yellows? So what we can do is use this little finger here. And we go down and we click on a color, like right there. And what it does is it creates this little region. See where my pointer is? This little region now, it's clamped it down to the greens. So that means when I adjust the hue, just the greens are going to change. Look at that. So we could change this to pink. And notice there's a little bit of green kind of left there in the hair. We can fix that by just adjusting the range. So why don't we go on the inside ones and try those. There we go. Pull those over a little bit. Same here. And all you got to do is just kind of find, there we go, just finding it right there. It's also affecting the trees behind, but if we want those to turn pink as well, notice that as we're increasing that range, now it's picking up more of the greens. And if you look at this before and after, look at that. And we can do that. Now, if you wanted to not affect the background and just affect her, you know, not the hedge, you just got to kind of noodle in here and try and get it the best you can. Let's see how good we can get it here. And if you can't get it exactly perfect, like we're not able to do here, there's another solution. You just simply go up under here, choose the mask, grab a black brush. Let's grab our brush here. Set the foreground color to black. Now I'm going to make the brush bigger, and I can do that by tapping the right bracket key, and then we just paint. Now I have a Wacom tablet, so I could, you know, just use my Wacom tablet, and it's really easy to get all this stuff here. You can see, you just quickly go there, paint all that out, and we just pop that down. And then when you get here, you might want to do a little masking. Just grab our quick select tool. Just make a quick selection around the area here. Doesn't have to be anywhere near perfect. Hit the Alt or the Option key to get those little holes in there. And all I want to do is just get those little bits of the hedge there that didn't get that. And if you get in a trouble area, you can always just brush it. All right, so now we've selected that. So we're just selecting her and her dress, and we want to select everything else. So we're going to inverse that selection. So you can hit Command, Shift, and I to inverse that selection, or just choose Select and Inverse. So now we've selected everything but her, and you can tell because you can see the marching ants walking around the edge of the document. So that means everything but her is selected. Let's go back to our mask, hit our black brush, and just paint. And notice that we don't even have to be good because that selection is going to protect everything. Control D. So that's one of those things, better to be smart than good. All right, so why don't we make this a softer edge brush? So we're going to make this soft here, and we could also drop the size down. And if you wanted to go in, you could, you know, make a very small brush here and just go in there and just touch up the areas in there to make it perfect. It's always hard, though, for me to do painting when I'm doing live streaming because it always kind of makes things a little bit laggy on the computer when you're doing that. On the screen, sorry. All right, there we go. And we're just painting that out by hand. And you can see there, now these two are matching. They're twins. Twinning. All right, so twinsies. So here's the nice thing about the adjustment layer. I can turn it on or off, and we can just play around like that. All right, thanks, Vicky. I will enable you in there. Okay, what do we got here? Hello from the country of reunion in the ocean, Indian Ocean. Wow, that's a cool spot to be coming from. Shows the selective color. Yeah, I guess I did start showing the selective color. Hello, at the age of all. Hello, the summer of Isle. You didn't arrive too late. It's okay. We've got plenty of good stuff coming. Is Lightroom better than Photoshop for some of these HSL changes? While ACR is the same as Lightroom, the underlying software platforms are different. Barry Ritter. It's a good question. So it depends. So here's the thing. If you are Lightroom and Camera Raw use exactly the same processing engine. So when you're processing in Lightroom or Camera Raw, they're identical. Last week we actually went into that, and we made some adjustments inside of Lightroom, and then we opened them as a smart object inside of Photoshop, double clicked it, and opened it in Camera Raw. Check it out last week on last week's live stream, and you could see those exact settings were there, and we could adjust those settings again. So it really comes down to the question, like, I organize all my photos in Lightroom. So I start in Lightroom. I've got tens of thousands of photos there inside of Lightroom. That's where I do all the organization. And then what I'll do is I'll do my basic adjustments inside of Lightroom and maybe some HSL shift, sure. If I'm not going to bring it into Photoshop, yeah, why not? And then I'll just, if I'm just going to stay in Lightroom, I will. But a lot of the time, I'll go in Lightroom, then I'll bring it into Photoshop, and then I'll do the adjustments in Photoshop. And in a good example of doing it here inside of Photoshop is when we get the two colors here. We had the green there, and we had the green in the hedge. I was able to create a layer mask, and I was able to use our selection tools to make a selection around to assist me in painting those out. Now, Photoshop has very superior selection tools to Lightroom. So if you're going to be doing any selection work and you want to use those selections to help you, you want to isolate things, you're much better to do it in Photoshop. And that would be the reason for that. All right, so we can see there we're able to change those colors. No problem at all. And the nice thing about it is we can just go in here and adjust it. So anytime I can double click in here now because I'm doing this. And, you know, say for example, I wanted to select her new color. Let me select it here. And now I adjust the hue. Notice I can take it back. Or I can take her into the blues now. And you can see now I'm able to adjust it more. And this is the cool thing about working with these adjustment layers. So it just gives you this much control, and see how quickly I could change that picture. Now, the reason the hedge and everything's not changing is because it's masked. So that hedge is going to stay masked. And why did she not get selected? Because underlying, it knows that that wasn't the color I selected. I selected the green. I did not select the purple. Even though I clicked on her and she was purple, she's actually really green. You know, and you can see how the greens are selected. If I go in here and I click on the purples, I can adjust those purples. See that? Now, obviously, it's not going to change under here because it's masked out. So if I wanted to change her, probably a quicker way to do it would actually just be to create another hue saturation adjustment layer on top and then just make that quick shift if you wanted to change more than one color, or change those colors before you do the masking and then do the masking afterwards. So you have a lot of control here over the colors. All right, let's get out of there. And let's do something different. How do I import several brushes at the same time? What you do is you create a brush set and then go under your brushes panel and then choose import brushes. In fact, we'll jump in there in a second. So what I'm going to do here, which is a good one that I want to work on, I want to do this. Yeah, that'll be cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these images. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Yeah, let me open those as a stack. So what I'm going to do is go under here. Before I do, I'm going to show you the brush, and then I'm going to show you how to do focus stacking. So what we got here is your brushes. If you go under your brushes panel here, there's your brush settings panel, and let me go under the brushes. So here's our brushes live here, and also they live here. Here's our different brushes. And then what you can do is you can click under here and you can load in your brushes. You could go here and you can search and find brushes. So this is go to Adobe Exchange, or you can choose to import brushes. And then when you click import brushes, you're going to go, here's all the brushes I've got saved. Wow, I've got a few, huh? Quite a few different brushes I have here. So why don't we grab, I don't know, one of these ornament brushes. I like the, yeah, let's grab an ornaments brush I have here, and I'm going to click open. And then notice it says ornaments there, and if I twirl it open, there's all the different brushes in that group. So there's multiple brushes. You can't really see what's in them, but if I go under here, you can kind of see them. Let me just change the view. So if we go under here, I am going to change it to brush tip. And now you can see the brush tip. See those different ornaments that I've loaded in? So to answer your question there, that's how you bring in multiple brushes at once. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose File. And what I want to do is I want to load these into a stack. So I'm going to choose Scripts, Load Files into a stack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a bunch of photos at once, and I'm going to put them into layers one on top of each other, and I'm going to show you how to do focus stacking. So what we're going to do is choose Browse, and if I go under here, I've got focus stacking. There's my photos, and I'm going to click Open and click OK. Now, oh, by the way, there's that brush that we loaded. And what it's doing right now is it's loading all of these in. I'm just going to put my brush back to a default brush. All right. So here's some photos that I've taken of a keyboard. Now, if any of you use anything, hey, Bruce Bicknell is in the house. Say hi to Bruce. I don't know if you guys know him, but he does a lot of stuff around the cafe here. You might see him at the trade shows. He's been a lot of trade shows with us, running the booth. And also, if you guys been out on tour, he came out on tour and was helping there and facilitating all of that. And he also does a lot of other things around here, helping with tutorials and organizing things. So that's Bruce. All right. So here is a photograph I've taken of the keyboard. Now, one of the things you guys might notice, if you use a macro lens or you just shoot anything close up with a DSLR, you can't get the whole thing in focus at once. It's really, really hard. So what I did is I took multiple photos and I'm focusing on different parts of the photo at a time. So now I'm focused here. Now I'm focused here, there, and believe it or not, I need one more for that edge to get everything sharp. In order to do this, what you want to do is, of course, you want to set up your camera, put it on a tripod, put it in manual, and including manual focus, get everything set up, set the focus far away, take a photo, adjust that focus, and take a photo each time. Now, what can happen sometimes is when you're adjusting the focus, sometimes it can move a little bit. So if we look at these, you can see sometimes you get just a little bit of movement, but also as the focus is changing. If you look at a softer area like this, it tends to enlarge those areas because it's creating that blooming from the blur. Whereas as it gets in focus, it gets a little bit tighter and it gets a little bit smaller. So one of the things we need to do is we need to align all of these. Otherwise, they're not going to match. So here's a little trick. Click on the first layer, hold the Shift key, and click the bottom layer. So now we've loaded all the layers. All we've done is just selected the layers there, right? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go up under an adjustment here that we have, and that's going to be under the Edit menu, and we're going to go down to Auto Align Layers. So let's click on this, and we've got different projection types. We're just going to use Auto and click OK. Notice how we get a little bit of movement between these, but what we've done now is these are now perfectly aligned with each other. Now here's the good news about this. If you're doing focus stacking and you're handheld, like maybe you're at the Griffith Observatory or something like that, and you're shooting things, or you've got a group of people sitting on the wall shooting it from one end, you know how that is. It's one of the worst, right? So you can't get all the people in focus. So what do they say? Focus a third of the way in, or whatever the rules are. You can change that focus and shoot all the people, just get them to sit like statues, and then use this focus stacking technique. Obviously harder with people, and you might have to do a little bit of masking, but the nice thing is you're going to have all those different shots to do that. All right, so now that we've aligned them, we want to focus them all together. So we're going to go back again, and we're going to choose Edit, and we're going to go down to Auto Blend Layers. So let's click on Auto Blend, and this does two things. It does panoramas, and it does stacking. So, by the way, you can use the panorama features, and you can just select the pictures, by the way, and it will load them in, and so you can kind of do it that way too if you want to use the automation menu. But I like to do it by hand here because we get a little bit more control over each step. Okay, so the next thing, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about that right now. So what we want to do is we don't want to do a panorama. We want to stack the images, make sure these are turned on, click OK. And now it's going to take a little moment here. And yes, Donna Murray, this works great in landscape photography. Works very well in architectural photography too. Look at that, boom. And if you're doing real estate photography, things like that, this works so good. And look at this. Now we have a keyboard where all of it is perfectly in focus. Now, to shoot a photograph like this with a DSLR camera, you can't. You just can't do it. So as you can see, and this is nice and high resolution. We've got lots of detail. You could probably use your mobile phone or something with a very, very small lens. You could probably get everything in focus. You have to have a very, very, very small aperture opening in order to do that. So there's focus stacking there inside of Photoshop. Anyone got any questions? Drop a question in there. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. And let's have a look. One other thing I'm going to show you here. Let me show you where this is. Just waiting for those questions to come in. More magic. Never used this. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So one of the things you can do, let me show you something here. Don't save. If we go under here and we go under our Automate menu, we can go down to Photo Merge. Now, Photo Merge will do all of these steps for us. Now, the reason I did that first is two reasons. One, so you'll kind of understand what's going on, because you've seen the steps individually, so this will help you understand a little bit better. And also, when Photo Merge doesn't work, you can go in and do it each step by step. So what we can do is, first thing we want to do is we're going to find our files. So we're going to click on Browse. There they are. Click Open. And it loads them. If you remember when we did it here inside the Layers panel, we stacked these into layers. There they are there. Imagine those as layers. Now, we want to kind of blend these together. So we've got Auto here. So we're going to use our Auto for layout. This is going to attempt to stick them together. And then we're going to blend them together here. And let's click OK and see how this goes. And if you look at this, this is going through doing exactly the same steps. But it automated it. And guess what? It didn't work. So here's a cool thing about that. Is now that we've got these here, we know what's happening. We know these are loaded up, and we want to try and blend them together. So we could go back under here and just manually finish this off. This might not work because we've got masks already, but let's try it. Stack images, click OK. And nope, see, it failed. That's why I showed you guys how to do it manually. Now we can fix this by deleting the mask. In fact, why don't we just select these masks here? We've got to get rid of all of these one at a time, but I think you guys get it. So we would delete these masks, select them, and then go under Image, and then we would choose that Auto Align. So now you guys know That's the way to do it. So I would just align them by hand and then merge them by hand. I say by hand. Photoshop's automating the whole process for us. So that's why I showed you how to do it that way. All right. Any questions? And Yellow Bearer understands. Derek Lee's been using stacking today on some flower shots. Awesome. Yeah, it works really well for flower. Particularly small things, you know. It works really well because it's hard to get those smaller objects all in focus at the same time. All right, I'm going to show you something just kind of funny and weird. I kind of like this. Okay, so here's a picture of Callan. Let me just make some quick adjustments because that doesn't look good. Camera raw, here's how to do some quick adjustments. I just need to clean up the exposure just a little bit there. That contrast feels really high. I don't know why it's like that. And we're going to open up the shadows. And let's take it back. Click OK. Oh, you know why? I have this monitor. Let me click there. That has different color modes on it. I don't know if that changes when I click on there with you guys, but I have different color modes on my monitor, and I was in Rec 709 space, which is my video space. All right. Okay, so here's a picture. I'm going to show you something kind of fun. And this is face aware liquify. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you can really get crazy on people's faces. This is a fun thing. It can be very useful and practical for retouching, fixing things, or you can go nuts. You can find people you don't like, you can make fun of them, which I don't recommend. Don't do that. Or you can just kind of, but let me show you. Okay, so we're going to choose the filter here, and we're going to go under liquify. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Let me make sure I'm not covering things up here with my video. Let me just wait for that to come up. And just wait for the live stream to change. Make sure I'm not hiding any of the important controls on here. Just going to take a sec. All right, there we go. So that's the delay. And I'm looking on the screen there. Okay, good. So my little square of me is not covering that up. Awesome. I do notice the subscribe button's hiding me though. That's weird. All right. So what we want to do is we want to adjust the face. If I roll over, you can see that Photoshop is detecting there's a face, there's an eye, there's a second eye, there's a nose, there's a mouth, upper, lower lip. Photoshop is detecting this. It's really quite amazing. And if we look under face aware liquify, we can have multiple faces. This will actually detect a whole group of faces. Amazing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit. All right. And I'm going to hit the space bar, and we're going to go here. Now, I hope Callan's not watching, because I mean no malice with what we're about to do to you here, but it's going to be fun. All right, so we can go into here, and let's go back to that little thing here. And let's go under our face aware. And let's see what happens if we go under here. So we can see the eyes. And look at this. I can do the left eye. I can make it bigger or smaller. Look at that. So if you got one eye bigger than the other, you can adjust it. Which pretty much everybody has one eye bigger than the other, by the way. You can change them together by hitting that little lock here. So we can go here, we can give them little beady eyes or big bulgy crazy eyes. We have the fun of doing that. Here's where it gets crazy too. We can do, let me link these together. We can make these eyes more narrow, or we can open them up. Why don't we go crazy and just do bug eyes? Just for fun. All right, so you can do this with your siblings. We can change the width of the eyes. We can make them wider or narrower. So if you want to just get crazy, okay, let me just link that. Let's just go full on pixie eye. Why not? And then we can go here and we can change the tilt of the eyes. So we can be sad eyes, or we can go cat eyes. So you can see that. Actually, we go that way. She kind of starts to look a little bit like Jerry Ryan. Kind of interesting. But, you know, caricature of Jerry Ryan with huge eyes. But you can change the size of them. See what we can do here? You can really just go in there. It's really weird. We can bring those eyes close together. Well, it makes me go cross-eyed. Or we can take them far apart. So the crazy thing about this is, let me reset this. Let me hit the Alt or the Option key. I'm going to reset this. Is you could go in here and you could literally make someone look like somebody else. Like literally, you know, if you wanted to, you know, make someone look like a celebrity or whatever, you could start with a face, change the eyes. You know, you can just get so crazy with this and literally make them look like another person. So you could just kind of have fun with this, or you could use it to fix blemishes. You know, when you're retouching, just trying to even out little things. So I'm going very extreme with this right now, going a little bit crazy. Let's reset it. And maybe what we would do is just maybe just make the eye on the left a little bit bigger. And maybe we could just leave it at that. Sometimes if someone's eyes kind of squinting, you can open them. All right, let's look at the other crazy things we can do here. Nose. We can change the nose height. We can do a long nose, or we can do a shorter nose. Look at that. You can change the height of the nose. Crazy. Nose width. There we go. You can make a nice wide nose or a nice narrow nose. So you can just get super crazy with this. Why don't we just go a little bit crazy, and I'm just going to show you some things here. Let's just see, so I can give you guys a good before and after. Let's make those eyes a little, that's way too wide. Okay, let's go there. All right, and same thing with the mouth. We can go in here and smile. Don't smile. Smile. All right, so, you know, it's like watching the stock market. 10 times a day. All right, so you can make them smile. Now, if you push it all the way there, it looks very artificial because the rest of the face is not smiling, just the mouth. Maybe like some actors we know. All right, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a, just a little bit of a smile here. And now we can change the size of the lips. We can do a thinner upper lip, or we can go to get some collagen injections there and push that upper lip. I'll refrain from making jokes. I have so many jokes I can make about this right now. I live in Orange County. All right, so lower lips. We can make the lower lip big or make it very thin. So look at this. You can change the lips. Now we can get so crazy. We can make this mouth wide or narrow. So this can be kind of fun too when you're doing things like cosplaying and things like that. You could actually make them look even more like the character if you wanted. Mouth height. Close that mouth. Hey, what's going on? Are you watching this? What do you think about this? Pretty good. Okay. I'm having a little fun. I hope you guys are laughing because I'm being silly here and just kind of trying to lighten things up a little bit around here. So if we want to look at this now, and we look at this before and after, you can see that face-aware liquify can be a useful tool or a very dangerous weapon in the wrong hands. Okay, let's look at questions. You guys got questions here for us? Side light tutorial. Oh, there's a good, interesting. I mean, we kind of did side light yesterday with the, or actually on Tuesday with the lighting effects. But maybe I'll look at something we can do there with the lighting effects on a portrait. Maybe I'll come up with something. I'm not going to do something here. I'll spend a little time and figure out something, a good example. I also, if you guys haven't seen last Tuesday's tutorial that we did, let me bring it up here. I've got to move this over here. Let me show you real quickly. So we did the basic, bringing it in. So as I showed you a bit earlier on, this is our live stream we're on right now. And a couple of days ago, I did this basic tutorial here. This shows side lighting. I'm literally changing the lighting here using the lighting effects. And this was suggested from someone here on this chat. Now I'm going to ask you guys here to make some suggestions. And maybe I'll do one of those as next week's tutorial. And if I do use it, I'm going to give you a prize. I'm going to give you any premium tutorial you want from PhotoshopCAFE as a prize. So this one here we did, and I did a basic one with the lighting, and I could go further with it. And one of the questions I asked in there is, do you want an advanced tutorial on this where we do things with the texture channel and we can do some pretty crazy things? Some of you might know me from some of my photorealistic illustrations. I don't know if I have any on here. Let me click on gallery. Hopefully it works and it's not broken. So a number of years ago, I did these are all 100% in Photoshop. And I did these illustrations. So these were created from scratch in Photoshop. And I used some of the different things in the lighting effects filters to help me create some of these shapes. You know, a little bit more advanced and specific. I mean, I can use it here for creating these kind of textures and things. These are all photorealistic, completely illustrated in Photoshop from scratch. No 3D, no photos, no Illustrator. Just things in front of me. That shows how long ago I started doing that. That was my iPod at the time. Just, you know, obviously those ones have, that one here has a photo. This one actually has a 3D render because it was a product I did for a billboard. But this one here, no photos, nothing in here. This is 100% illustrated from scratch inside of Photoshop. And some of the techniques I use for that are using that lighting effects filter. So if that is something you guys want to know, jump in here, watch this tutorial, and comment in there if you want me to do that, because I only want to do it if it's what you guys want to see. I don't want to create a tutorial that you guys are not interested in watching. So so I guess we've got a couple more things we could do with that. Oh yes, and prizes. So we have, let's just go back to the homepage here on photoshopCAFE. Are you watching right now? Please contact me, Bruce Blatlock. If Bruce Blatlock is in the house, say hi. If you're not, hopefully you watch this replay, or if any of you know him, get in touch with me, and you can go under the premium tutorials here at photoshopCAFE and let me know. Contact me here on customer support. This is not for everybody. This is only for Bruce. Click on customer support and let me know which one of these you'd like. I'll send you a download and you can go ahead and get that for free. Now, for the rest of you, if you want to win one of these, by the way, this is a new Actions and Automation, just came out a week or two ago. This is 3 hours on everything you need to know about Actions and Automation. We've got selections here. This is all about making selections in Photoshop, very in-depth. And in Photoshop 2020, our flagship title teaches, it's like 12 hours of Photoshop, like 100 and something lessons. You can win one of these if you make a suggestion for a tutorial on here, and I use that tutorial in next week's Tuesday tutorial. You're going to win that, and on Thursday I'll announce if we have a winner. So every Tuesday on photoshopCAFE channel on YouTube, I upload a new tutorial. Every Thursday, we're having these live streams just while we're in lockdown so we can get together and spend this time together. And of course, this replay will be out in a little bit. So anyway, guys, I guess we're getting near the end of our time together here. And, you know, once again, I want to thank you all for joining me here. Don't forget to like it. Hit that like button so we can get some likes going on here. And let your friends know. We'll be back next Thursday. It doesn't look like we're getting out of lockdown just yet. I'll try and do something about the webcam not being sharp. Or let me know if it is sharp and it was just a weird YouTube thing. Let me know, actually in the comments right now, just guys, let me know. Is this webcam sharp or is it soft and blurry? I'd love to know. Do advanced tutorials for Betty Gott. Okay. Creating an anime character would be fun. Yes, it would. That's a great suggestion there, Betty. Wow, we've got Betty's taken over right now. We've got Betty Gott and we've got Betty B, 723. And P Steel, yes, more in textures and lighting. Good times. Thanks, thanks, Andrew. Thank you, Tracy. I'm glad that these make your week. So, Russ, thank you. Webcam's fine. Great. Good to know. So anyway, guys, don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed to Photoshop Cafe channel on YouTube, and also every Tuesday, the new tutorial, every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. That's Pacific daylight time because we're in daylight savings. Get in here. If you're not on our newsletter, join our newsletter because I'll also let you know then when we're doing these tutorials. And once again, we post the live videos here on side of YouTube. Also, those go on Photoshop Cafe. The live streams don't go on Photoshop Cafe, just on YouTube. And then when I do the YouTube tutorials, I also do those written steps on photoshopcafe.com. So it's kind of a little companion there between Photoshop and on YouTube and the website. So anyway, so I'm glad that the webcam is looking good. Creating GIFs, that's another great suggestion. Also, do me a favor, when this goes live, it takes YouTube about 30 minutes to post that replay. Drop the comments in there for suggestions. And any of you who are watching the replay, you're also eligible to win this prize. Just jump in there and drop your suggestion of what you'd like to see as a tutorial. And then the winner will be announced next Thursday at 1 o'clock when we come together again once more for Live from Lockdown. And that's where we are right now. I'm Colin Smith. We're here at Live from Lockdown at Photoshop Cafe. Thanks, guys, for joining us this week. Continue the conversation on Facebook and also in our comment section under here in YouTube. Jump into our community tab on YouTube. Visit me at photoshopcafe.com. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe. Stay safe.